Flashback this weekend, so thank you guys for coming out for this panel. I'm super, super excited because it's rare that you get, let me back up. I just watched Aliens again the other day, and the whole time I'm thinking, like, this is one of the best movies ever made. Yeah, it's a sequel to one of the best movies ever made. And I can't think of another time that's happened. One of the best movies ever made, it's a sequel, and it's one of the best movies ever made. But we're super excited because we have two of the stars of Aliens here to celebrate the movie's 35th anniversary. Please welcome Jenette Goldstein and Mark Rolston. Thank you both so much for being here. This is really an honor to get to talk to you, so thank you. Let me ask this, because every time you hear a movie, you hear that they're making a movie about any kind of military. The cast always talks about, well, we had to go through boot camp together, and we had to train together. Did you guys have to go through any kind of military preparation, training, any kind of boot camp together for Aliens?
Yes. Thank God. Yeah, we had, well, first of all, we had the luxury of, it was 2 weeks, 3 weeks of being there, getting to know each other. Al Matthews has been in the Marines, so he, helped us. You could always ask somebody, is this how they do it? Is this how you hold it? Is this how the last thing you want to be looking like some silly actor, pretending to do that. And then we had two of the stuntmen, or was it just Tip who'd been in the RA? Yeah. So one of the he'd been in, the special services in Northern Ireland, so he took us through, approaching urban warfare and how to hold guns, all that stuff. Yeah.
And then prior to the whole cast being together, because when I was hired to do the movie, I was a wimp. So I had to train for, it was almost 3 months, because Cameron wanted me to really bulk up, which I managed to do. Of course, Jenette was already buff and made us all look like real wimps. But then once we all came together, they put us through our paces pretty well. And that was pretty funny to see Paxton struggle to run 5 miles.
This was, I know, an early role for you, Mark, and your first film role, right? So what was that like? Were you kind of...
Terrified?
It's a really kind of swim situation, right? You're really kind of thrown into the deep end with a movie like this.
Yeah, technically, I'd been acting. I was a theater actor over the drama school, been on the stage. So it wasn't the, being with actors and the part and doing all the script research. It was, the technical stuff, which still kind of blows my mind. Where the eye goes, where your eye line is, and how to turn around. That stuff is really hard. Because you have to remember that and act, So that was difficult. But I relied on all of my my friends and fellow actors to help me, and and Cameron also. He knew I had never been in a film, so he was very helpful, like where to look, what to do,
I know that there's stories of the crew having issues with Cameron as a filmmaker, as sort of a taskmaster and stuff, but as actors, what was the experience like for you guys working with him?
Well, I think really it wasn't so much that people had issue, it was really kind of a clash of cultures, because in England, our first AD, Derek Crackle, was a really well-known first AD. He'd done numerous major films. And I think it was more like, Derek had the idea of how the set was going to be run, and in England, slight differences between how it works in Hollywood. Like in England, they break for tea every couple of hours. It's a thing. And for Jim, that was a real anathema, because it was like, what the hell are they doing? They're having tea again? It's like, and Jim just wanted to shoot. But Yeah, and then Jim, you have to understand it isn't so much that was a megalomaniac or a hard ass. It's just that Jim was on the hook for the movie. Like, if the movie went over a budget, and it wasn't a huge budget compared to today's movie, it was only $18 million, but still. Any overages he and Galen Hurd had to pay for, so he was determined to get the movie done the way he wanted it. And they ironed things out, right? Yeah. And then the crew was brilliant. The British crew were phenomenal.
Yeah. And there was a little bit of they were not used to having, a female star, a female producer, and female leads, and just the way they sort of treated, it was a little bit, I don't know, a little condescending sometimes the way you were spoken to, and it's like that, so they had to sort of put a stop to that. So.
Yeah.
As in terms of you guys working with him as actors, was he attentive to everything you needed, or because obviously he's being pulled in a million different directions, like you said, he's on the hook and really trying to make sure this movie's working, but was he?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he knows that, he knows, one thing, he can do everybody's job except for act. So he doesn't so he doesn't give any line readings. I mean, he casts and he will let you improvise up to a point. I mean, you have to incur his wrath if it's a terrible, line you want to add in, or if you're wasting his time, God forbid. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like, don't waste my time. I have no time. If it works, it works. And the only time I added anything in, and I was terrified because I just thought, but I have to do this, is the pull-ups. Because the scene it doesn't say she's doing pull-ups, it just says, they're asleep, they wake up, they get dressed, and here's the lines. That was it. And, when I realized, oh my God, I'm in a tight t-shirt, and the line is, have you ever been mistaken for a man? And I just thought, okay, well, he's pretty dumb, and he's not that dumb. There's no way that I'm mistaken for a man in a tight t-shirt. So I just had this idea that I could do these really difficult pull-ups, and I said, I thought, if I'm doing it while, he says it while I'm doing something, and then you put the camera a certain level. And so I said that to Jim, I said, let me just tell you, this will make the scene work. Why don't we do the scene where the two of us, we get up and we work out, and then he was like, okay, right, because they had to stop everything, get a bar set up, and we'll, to make the scene work. But that was about the only little improv we built, like throw all the shit in, everything, never stop,
Yeah. And Cameron would also say, yeah, Bill, say that, don't say that.
They had a long-term relationship, but oh my God, So.
What was the relationship like between you two on the film? Because you guys are sort of a unit inside of the unit. So how did you guys go about building that chemistry together, even inside of the larger Marine unit?
Yeah, well, we were fortunate, in most films, like, you don't have the luxury of rehearsing at all. They just throw you right into it, and you're suddenly doing a scene.
Here's your husband.
Yeah, right. But, we were lucky we rehearsed, and Jenette and I had a lot of time to, just iron out what our backstory was. And then, during the course of the making the film, the way Jim wrote it, obviously we were a team.
We had to sit together. Well, the first 2 weeks was with the smart methods. That was the first 2 weeks straight. And so we were strapped into these things, and they didn't want to let us out because it was really difficult, because it was on a gaffer's tape, and if we had to go to the bathroom, they had to shut it down. And so we had these special stools made for us to sit on this horrible stool with like this notch in it where you could put your gun. And so between it, we would sit there, the two of us. Couldn't it be, are you okay? Oh my God, does your back hurt? My back hurts. Oh my God. All the other actors are kind of like relaxing and drinking water.
Yeah, Paxton and Riser.
Yeah.
And telling jokes, eating cookies.
So we had a lot of time. There's one photo of me, a shot, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking really mean, and I'm like looking at my position, and I'm like, wait a second, this isn't from the movie. This is me just sitting in a corner, relaxing, just looking, just like.
So the upside to it was that Jen and I sat so long together that we became very good friends. still friends to this day, and and there were sort of lonely times because everybody would walk away, and it would just be like,
Hello.
Why do you think it is that 35 years later that Vasquez is still such an icon for so many?
because she's dead.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, first of all, it's 35 years ago, there was not any strong women. I mean, I guess in the 40s, Barbara Stanwyck, those kind. I mean, the only character I remember going, was Jenna Rollins and Gloria. Did you ever see that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Anyone? No? Anyone see Gloria? You let a woman beat you, you punk! She was just like, she was just so tough. And, women are so strong. Has anyone ever met, like, somebody's grandmother or mother? And, you'd think that writers had never met a real woman before. So it was so odd that this character existed, or it was odd that she hadn't existed before. So that's kind of what I think, her being Hispanic, her being, also that it wasn't kind of like pointed, oh, look, there's a woman, she was just the best, she was doing her job, it was the future.
And you also have to realize too, it's like, Jenette is a good little Jewish girl from Beverly Hills. But she transformed into this badass Latina, and I'm not kidding. I worked my ass off to look buff. Jenette came just ripped. Ripped. So that was Vasquez, and
I mean, it was unusual at the time. I mean, it was kind of strange. I'd been in gymnastics as a little girl. I used to compete in gymnastics. I was always athletic. But after leaving drama school and being in England, I was unemployed and doing stuff. And there was a gym near me where Mr. Britain and Miss Britain worked out. Just happened to be. And so I would go, and I thought she was really cool, and I was like, this is kind of fun, lifting weights, and there were no other women. It was just me and Miss Britain. It was fun. I'd go there, and so for 2 years straight, that was kind of like my mental health. I would go for a run, and I'd go lift weights. So it just coincided by some, miracle coincidence that at the end of like 2-year training, that I then auditioned for this movie. So. And they were like, oh my God, are there any other actresses who look like you? No. There's other women in the gym, really, except for Miss Britain,